Yeah. Good morning. Today's October 16th. Happy Monday. I know. It's Monday. It's all right. Let's go. Let's go time.
I got the world on my mind.
We got some good stuff today, so stand by. Jump on.
Sooner or later they'll see why I see why I got the realest flow. Son of the dark, but I still got the illest flow. And it's ironic to me how a chronic MC can drop me before we drop the chronic CD. You see, it all started in the CPT. When Nina rolled a shotgun, so the fleet C3. Keep the pound in the middle like DPG. Now they love me in the late like CP3. I'm ballin' shout out to Uncle Warren and all the pretty girls who seeing out while I'm touring. Signing autographs, otherwise I'll ignore them. While I got this rider chick that I'm adoring. Yo.
Center stages and spotlights. Oh, baby. People craze with them fantasy pop life. Social frenzies. Who's your next bestie, baby? False realities and drugstore remedies. I got the world on my mind. And maybe never comes. We're out of time, babe. I got the world on my mind. And maybe never comes. We're out of time, babe.
Y'all know what it is. Lace them hits.
From Tokyo to LA, stop your evil ways. Show this place your love. Make it brighter days. Save the life and save the dream. I can't believe it now. You have to flip the page and you can really see it now. I got the world on my mind. Yes, it's on my mind. Running out of time.
Young.
I got the world.
All right, October 16th. Go time. Let's go. Let's get fired up.
Yeah. I got the world, baby.
Jonah
I
Corey.
got the world, baby. I got the world, baby. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning. Today is Monday, October 16th. And this is actually episode 13. We just had Friday the 13th. So it's kind of a coincidence. Anyways, we have some good stuff today. We're going to go over some great features on the PCT title toolbox. I also have guest Liz Velasquez, PCT title operations manager, is going to be joining us as we go through some of this great title technology. I'll call it title technology, but it's going to be geared to helping real estate agents identify some life-changing events, some premium features through the PCT title toolbox. Now, on that note, we're going to have the developers of the PCT title toolbox, which is Benutech. It's the mothership company for title toolbox, for Rebo Gateway. And you're not going to want to miss that for sure. You definitely want to jump on for that. We're in October now. We're heading into the fourth quarter now. And it's time to double down. You got to double down. We talked about that last week with my good friend Paul Castaneda was here last week on doubling down right now. Start, getting your niches together, getting the farm stuff that you need to get ordered, learning the new technology. That's what I'm here for too. I can set up an appointment with you. We can go over all of this in person, over the phone, over Zoom. I can also do a class for you if you're a broker or you're a manager and you guys want to get refreshed on all this great stuff for the agents. And that's because we want to be proactive, get ahead of the game here. The market is different, and you're going to have to start going after more targeted owners. You have to be more target specific in your farming, and start going after people who need to sell. So the need to sell is where you got to go, rather than, you still want to keep adding to your sphere of influence as you go, put your prospects together, but start targeting people who need to sell at this moment. And those are going to be, the life-changing events, things that are occurring, divorces, AODs. That type of technology is available through the Title Toolbox. And so also through the Rebo Gateway platform, which is why I want to get Ben Tech up here to kind of explain that stuff to you guys. It's going to be important for your business heading into the new year, especially if you're new too. You want to get, like I said, get ahead of the game and start learning some of this great stuff that these people have. Also, I want to make sure that I announce too. I just secured the president and founder of Breakthrough Broker, Eric Sachs, will be here on the podcast November 6th. You won't want to miss that either. That's a great online publication, Breakthrough Broker. If you haven't heard of it, stay tuned for that. You're going to be excited. He's got a great story too as well. So we're excited to have him on Monday, November the 6th. Breakthrough Broker founder, president Eric Sachs will be here. And then we got some other guests coming on in the sports world. So stay tuned for that. Some more NFL. I got another former NFL player coming on. And we're going to have some great stuff. By the way, I want to shout out, congratulations to my good friend, Brett Hundley, former UCLA star quarterback, played for the Green Bay Packers. He had just hosted on his hosting Monday Night Football this past week. So that was awesome. Congratulations, Brett. We love you, man. We love what you're doing for epilepsy over at the Hundley Foundation. If you would like to learn more about epilepsy, next month, by the way, November, is National Epilepsy Awareness Month. And so we're strong advocates. We have a daughter who has epilepsy. She's a fantastic young lady who we just love dearly. And we're going to be, strong advocates in the month of November. So stay tuned for that. By the way, if you know anybody who's afflicted with epilepsy, next week we will also be at what's called Epilepsy Awareness Day, and that's at Disneyland. If you know anybody, like I said, if you know you have a loved one or you know someone who's suffering from epilepsy or who's been afflicted with the condition, there's no better place right now in Southern California to be down at Disneyland for 3 days at the Disneyland Hotel. And that's going to be October the 29th. No, actually, I'm sorry, October 30th, the 31st. They're going to have a convention there. It's actually an expo on epilepsy. Some of the best doctors here in Southern California, UCLA, Stanford, will be there speaking. And this is free, by the way. So I highly encourage you, if you know someone, let them know, spread the word. This coming week, October 30th, or actually it's not this coming week. It's coming up at the end of the month, October 30th, October 31st. And then on the 1st, everybody goes to Disneyland and they take this big picture in front of the castle there. It's pretty cool. It's really great, especially for the kids. But there's adults afflicted with epilepsy. I highly encourage you to go join online, register for this free event. Again, epileptologists, neurologists, all kinds of great technology will be available. Service dogs will be on site. It's just a great community. Like I said, I'll be there. And so please share that. Again, next month is National Epilepsy Awareness Month. So stay tuned for that. We'll have some more stuff on that in the coming days. And as mentioned too, we have Ben Tech coming on. It's going to be fantastic. So and I'll go ahead and share that screenshot with you here. This is the Epilepsy Awareness Day. The website, by the way, is epilepsyawarenessday.org, and you can register for that fine event coming up on October 30th, 31st. Very, very, very informative. So again, once again, if you need anything this week, this is my weekly check-in podcast. It's a fairly new podcast. Title Talk with Corey. Every Monday, I stream here live at 11 a.m. on YouTube Live, and then later the podcast goes out to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music now, iHeartRadio. So wherever you get your podcast, check it out. Listen to it, in the car. And if you can, please like, subscribe on YouTube. If you're an agent in Southern California, or actually anywhere in California, we're licensed throughout California to do business, even in the states of Nevada and Arizona. If you're out there, please reach out to us, 626-392-7993. You can also reach me by email, open@CoreyTitleRep.com. You can check out the live feeds as well at my website, www.CoreyTitleRep.com. So if you jump on there, you can reach me. My email portal is there, phone number, the links for my live feed are there. And then the podcast too for Apple is all available right there on the website. And then if you haven't visited our company website, please join that. Check that out, pct.com. Amazing. We got some amazing stuff up there as well. And I'm going to go ahead and jump up on that website right now because I'm going to share with you guys some interesting information. Now, this is www.pct.com. And as I mentioned earlier, I have a special guest today again. I have Liz Velasquez, Pacific Coast Title Operations Manager, will be joining me. And what I want to do is I want to share with you again this premium feature through the Title Toolbox. It's called the lead sheet. And I just demoed this recently for a young new agent. It's a very powerful, a powerful, I won't call it a tool, but, I guess it is a tool. It's a great feature within the Title Toolbox that can help you target these life-changing events that I was telling you about. And some of these are divorces, affidavits of death. I know it's it is what it is. People need help when they have these life-changing events. They go through a divorce, they need help. More than likely, there's going to be a sale that happens or occurs, within 6 months, maybe a year. But just so that you can reach out, like I said, you're in the business of service, and you've got to get out there and let people know that you're available, especially right now. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to our website here, pct.com, and in our portal, agent resources, again, I've mentioned before, there's a lot of great stuff up there. So we're going to click on the PCT Title Toolbox. Now, I'm not going to actually, this is an informative podcast today for agents, real estate agents, even people in the business who are in lending, escrow, anybody in the business, really. If you'd like access to this, please feel free to reach out to me, and I can definitely get you set up and get you trained. I can train your staff, your team. I'm happy to do that anytime, in person, over the phone. Or even over Zoom. I know people are kind of burnt down on Zoom right now. So this is the PCT Title Toolbox. I'm going to take that live sign off. Now, I've already just kind of pre-selected a property. I'd normally go into a property search on this. And I've got a property here that I'm just going to pull up really quick. And there's no reason for this, but for this particular property, but I'm just to get one in there. And what I'm going to do with this is we're going to target information surrounding this property using this feature in Title Toolbox. So I've got my property selected here. There's a little drop-down menu, and I'm going to go ahead and select this property. This is a property in Glendora. And we're going to generate a report here. And what this program is going to do is it's going to target some of these life-changing events that I was talking about. Now, this is a premium feature through Title Toolbox. So you don't get, this is not something that we can give you. What I give you is I give you access to this program, and I provide you with the training, how to do this, how to utilize this. This is something that I believe every agent should be using, if not every day. It should definitely be something that you check in with every week, whether you're checking a property, a new listing on the market, so that you get a really good idea, a good snapshot of what's occurring around the neighborhood. Okay. So if I were gonna just run a regular report here, I would go ahead and click on View Report, and you can see here I've run a property profile, which is a fantastic looking profile. This is through Title Toolbox. And but I always recommend, when you're running the profiles, to give me a call, because we have some amazing profiles. We call them the concierge profile. So on the drop down menu, once you select a property, there's a feature in here, and we have to go into click on what's called other reports. In these other reports down at the bottom, there's something called a lead sheet. Okay. So I'm going to generate a lead sheet around this specific property. And if you had a listing, this is what you would want to do. Or if you have a listing that you're sitting on an open house in the area, always run this little snapshot. This is something that's totally free through the website. I can train you on how to do this. I can train your team how to do this. But this is going to give you a really good snapshot and a good idea of what's occurring in the neighborhood. Now, I know a lot of agents, and there's a lot of people who talk about turnover rates. And turnover rates they're great. They're useful. It's useful information, right? But turnover rates are based off of history, something that happened in the past, right? And so it's not something that's going to guarantee you. Although it's useful information, it's not something that's going to guarantee you. And neither is this, but you're going to get an idea, a snapshot on some events that are occurring in and around this particular property that you're looking at. Again, it could be an open house that you're sitting in on. It could be your listing. But you should know what's happening around that listing. Okay? And it doesn't have to be a listing, but it could just be any property that you want to get an idea. Maybe you're trying to check check a specific, you're looking for a farm to start targeting, right? This is what this is going to be really useful for. So again, I've selected a property on this, and I've pulled this lead sheet out. Okay. So on this particular lead sheet, I'll give you an idea of what's happening here. So, on this lead sheet, I would give you a snapshot on this, but my computer fell off, and I don't want to go ahead and connect that. It's going to take a little time. But just to give you an idea, what this is on this algorithm for the people who are listening, this is a 2.5 mile radius around a specific property in Glendora. Okay. And it's telling me that there are, within a 2.5 mile radius of this property, that there's 130 liens that just got recorded. And this is within a time period of 180 days, which is 6 months. Okay. So you have 130 liens that were filed, 100 affidavits of death that were filed, 23 notices of default, 8 notice of trustee sales, 8 bankruptcies, 6 lis pendens, 4 divorces, and 3 probate cases. Okay. So that's a lot of activity. And again, this is through the Title Toolbox. You got a lot of activity in this area within, 180 days or the last 6 months. So you definitely should want to dive into this area, or any area in your area. Like I said, rather than just using turnover rates, use this as a guideline for you, to give you an idea, a snapshot of what's going on. Now they give you the potential earnings, the potential commissions that could be made if all of these. This is obviously not realistic of this happening, but if you were to pick up every single one of these events as a new listing or sale, it's $13,686,212 in commissions. So you get this is what I would be using rather than just using turnover rates. I would be using this as a guideline to go after, to help you identify your next sale in the neighborhood or in the farm that you're working. Okay. What I'm going to do now is we're going to go ahead and get our awesome title operations manager, Elizabeth, on the line. And we're going to talk about some of the details that, not necessarily details, but some of the documentation that we might need in a situation like this. So we're going to go ahead and dial in. We'll see if we can get her on the phone here in a second. Just bear with me 1 second here. 1 second. All right, hold on. Elizabeth? So we're trying to get her on the phone right now. Bear with me 1 second. Stand by.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, great.
We're good. So I don't know if you were listening or
Yes,
watching the
yes.
podcast. So we have I have a list, and what I did is I ran a lead sheet. This is called a lead sheet through Title Toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives me a 2.5 mile radius around a specific property, and it's giving me several different types of life-changing events, just different types of potential transactions or listings that could be occurring. So around this particular property in Glendora, we're looking at 130 liens that were recently recorded, 100 affidavits of death.
Right.
So I was hoping that you could just, maybe share some insight from a title perspective on, what type of documentation, we might need for some of these types of transactions, just to kind of give everybody a heads up, when they're out there farming this type of stuff. To be proactive and making helping their transaction be as smooth as possible, right?
Okay. Yeah. So I'll touch on some of these. As you mentioned, there were some affidavits of death. So why don't we start with that?
All right.
Anytime people hold title as joint tenants, let's say husband and wife as joint tenants, or mother, father, joint tenant, mother, child, joint tenant, whatever the case may be, they hold title as joint tenants, and one of them passes, then the assessor needs to know that the interest of that person is no longer viable. So the interest of that person automatically transfers to the additional surviving joint tenant. So when you hold title as joint tenants, that's how it works. If something happens to one person, the remaining title holders assume that interest. So that kind of happens automatically.
Yeah.
But from a title perspective and from an assessor perspective, we still have to get something of record establishing what happened to that person's interest. So in the case of an affidavit of death of joint tenant, typically that's what they're doing. So people are recording the affidavit, making it a record to establish that that person is now deceased, and the surviving person now holds 100% of the interest in the property. So that's an example of when you've got a situation with joint tenancy, and they record an affidavit death of joint tenant. Another form of affidavit that can be recorded to establish interest in a property is an affidavit death of trustee. So when does that come into play? So that comes into play when on title you've got a trust. So you've got somebody named as trustee of the trust, and either two people or one person, and that person passes. So when that person passes, again, something needs to be recorded to establish the death of that person,
Right.
and establish the name of who the person that is going to now be acting on behalf of the trust is going to be. So oftentimes people record an affidavit death of trustee which is again to establish the record that that person is now deceased. So those are a couple of examples with affidavits that are recorded, the different types of affidavit, one of them for joint tenancy, the other one for trustee when you're dealing with trust.
Right.
So another life event, for example, that you mentioned in your report is divorces.
Right.
So oftentimes, as we know, divorces, get messy. They get messy, and you're dealing with, obviously two people that are separating and moving their own way. And oftentimes they're in good terms, and it's typically just a matter of the dissolution of marriage and what the court awards to, the husband, or the court awards to the wife. And if they're both on title as joint tenants, something needs to be recorded once again to establish that one of the two is going to keep the property.
So just if I can just interject real quick. So on a divorce, when they're do we have like any kind of knowledge to that, or is that something that the agent has to disclose or
acknowledges that unless something recorded, but 99% of the time they don't record anything. So it's just a matter of conversation that the agent would know from the client, okay, they're going through a divorce, and the reason they're listing the property is because they both agreed that they're going to sell the property.
Right.
So in the settlement agreement or the divorce settlement, typically, somebody is listed to keep the property. And when that's the case, then the other party that is not going to keep the property has to execute a grant deed, deeding the property 100%. Even though the court already has awarded it, we still have to put something of record to remove that person's interest, because the assessor would have no way of knowing that with a court order. They need to actually get a deed recorded. So,
right.
And as I suggested a little bit ago, that divorces sometimes get messy. And when they do, then you've got disgruntled husband or a disgruntled wife who refuses to sign the deed, and they don't want to sign the deed, even though the court said you're to give the property away to or deed it over to the other spouse.
Right.
So in situations like that, there's always a way. So in situations like that, the person that was awarded the property can go back to the court and say, my ex-spouse refuses to sign the deed. And what will happen is a court will assign a deputy within the court to sign on behalf of the spouse who refuses to sign.
Wow.
So there's always ways to do that as well. But again, It's another situation, another example of where something has to be recorded to establish the interest of the party who is no longer going to be on title.
Now, is that always done through like the grant deed?
Yeah, it could be a grant deed. It could be, preferably a grant deed. Either will work, but it would have a verbiage on the document that says that it's being done in dissolution of marriage.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, no, see, I think this is all good, especially for a newer agent, just to get an idea of what what we're going to ask for from title, because ultimately we close the deals, right? I mean, we actually close the deals.
And it's some of the information that's important for them to know ahead of time. So when they do have a listing appointment and they have, they're being told by the client, hey, I'm going through a divorce, you some of the questions that you might want to be prepared to ask.
Yeah. And also like, when a property's in a trust.
That's another great example.
Yeah.
When the property's in a trust and you're going to record an affidavit death of trustee, already right off the bat that the title company is going to want a complete copy of the trust. Right. And the reason being is, with the complete copy of the trust, the title company can review and establish who is the legal successor trustee or who is authorized now to sign on behalf of the trust. And the only way to know that is to get a complete copy of the trust for review.
Right. And it's always good to just be proactive ahead of time. You're taking that listing. Even before they take the listing appointment, I always encourage agents to give me a call.
Correct.
Get the profile on it. Let's know, is this property in a trust? Could this potentially be a situation where it's a probate case where there's, mom passed away, you know, and so just it's a good idea to just to get ahead of the game.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It's always
Right.
it's good to be prepared to ask the right questions.
Right.
And so the more the more prepared you are when you go to that appointment to ask the right questions and not wait.
Yeah. And again, this whole the reason for this podcast, this is actually a training that I'm doing today. Not necessarily a training, but an informative show today to get agents motivated and pumped up to end the year strong, to not end slowly, to double down and start going after some of the life-changing events out there, through sources like the Title Toolbox, even Rebo Gateway that's coming on, because we're going to have a representative from Benutech on the show in the coming weeks, and I'm just trying to get everybody geared up and informed, ready for the new year to double down on their farming, but also to have you on, which was why I wanted you to come on, to help give people insight on what type of documentation is going to be needed, what they should be asking, once they do sign the listing agreement, what they should be asking for,
Yeah, no, exactly. And especially with the trust, because with the trust, then the question arises as far as who is supposed to sign the listing agreement, who is authorized to sign the listing agreement.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's
so
really
those are important things that you kind of need to be prepared. You as the agent need to be prepared to ask for these items, like you said, even prior to an actual signing of a listing.
Right. So some of the other things off of this lead sheet on Title Toolbox, so we have, there's 130 liens recorded around this particular property. We talked about affidavits of death, notice of defaults, notice of trustee sales. What do we do for, agents who are trying to target, foreclosures, notice of trustee sales? What are we looking for?
I'm so sorry. Repeat that again.
No, that's okay. So on this lead sheet, there's 8 notice of trustee sales, right? So normally that would be like the final phase of foreclosure.
Right.
If an agent was out there trying to help people who are in that phase, they could call us, or they and maybe verify a sale date or.
Yeah, so notice of defaults, that's correct. So there's a process, obviously. Notice of default usually gets recorded 90 days after the person has gone into default.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a process to that after that. The last one is the notice of sale, where they record an actual date and time when the property is gonna go to foreclosure.
Mm-hmm.
Title companies, I know myself, will not close on a transaction that is, let's say, for example, there's a sale date scheduled on a property tomorrow.
Yeah.
I would not close on that because
yeah.
we don't have any way to know if the funds are going to get to the lender in time before they actually sell the property.
Yeah.
So I like to buy myself at least 3 days, 2 at the most, from the sale date before we can close. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to close unless the sale date was postponed. But if you're dealing as an agent with a client that is in foreclosure, then definitely call Corey or call me, and we're happy to call the trustee even verbally and try to get a status. Sometimes the sale date has been postponed, which obviously is the best case scenario. It buys us more time. Sometimes it's been canceled altogether, but we always need, as a title company, we need to verify that the sale date is not impending, that it's not literally the next date, because at that point it might be too late for us to close.
It's too risky for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, and then any list pendant. So list pendant is it's a notice of action.
Right.
So if they were targeting, that type of stuff, usually
Yes.
now that when we see a list pendant on a property, that's a notice of action. That's an immediate red flag, right? That
is actually the ultimate red flag.
Okay.
So a list pendant or notice of action, some people know it as a notice of action, is basically it's letting title know, letting the general public know, because it's a record, that there is litigation going on. And typically 9 out of 10 times the litigation going on is because they're fighting over the property itself, the ownership on the property. So sometimes it's that, sometimes it's they're trying to evict somebody and the person that's trying to get evicted files a notice of action, sometimes as a form of a stalling tactic. We don't know.
Yeah.
But from a title perspective, again, we will not close. That's a red flag for me. Not just a red flag, it's a red light.
Yeah.
We will not close until we get a withdrawal of the action. So until we know 100% that the action has been settled and withdrawn, we cannot close.
Yeah.
So
agents,
I would.
Yeah, agents, they should know this.
They should know if there's a notice of action, that they should look into it.
Yeah.
Maybe ask us to look into it. I have access to the court case file with whatever the superior court that the action was filed in.
Yeah.
I can check for status on that to see if it's been dismissed. Sometimes items are dismissed. They've been settled, but they didn't record a dismissal or a withdrawal. So.
Right.
I would close on something like that as long as I know that the case file shows that there is an actual dismissal or withdrawal. But yes, a notice of action is 100% a red flag. It's a red light. And typically, like I said, very, very seldom do we close with an open litigation. It's just not a good idea.
Okay. Well,
okay.
And then the last one that we have on the list here, this one has 3 probate cases in the neighborhood. That's obviously another red flag. Well, not necessarily a red flag. It's just something that, what do we need? Because I know I had Josh Driscoll on several weeks ago from Lagerlof. Great probate attorney. And,
probate attorney, basically a probate. What is a probate? So a probate means that somebody was on title by themselves with no secondary person, no joint tenancy.
Right.
And if the person passes, then it becomes a probate situation. So it's a court appointed transaction where the court has to nominate somebody to act on behalf of the estate of the person, of the deceased party. So not one person can just automatically step up and say, I'm the owner of the property. It doesn't work that way. It has to go through a probate, and the court has to name somebody as administrator of the estate of that party. It's a process. It's a lengthy process, so it needs to be, it doesn't automatically happen. The state doesn't do it. It has to be started by an individual. And, it doesn't mean we can't close it. We absolutely can. We close probates all the time. And again, as Corey mentioned, we've got some great connections with some people that we can refer if anybody ever needed help with that. But it's a process, and there are some documents that need to be reviewed and approved as we go through the process. But there is no way to know. So the way that the only way to take that listing would be for you to know that you're dealing with somebody who is going to assume to be the administrator of the estate of the deceased.
Yeah. And then what do we need, once a probate, we don't have to wait for the probate to be fully dismissed, right? Or not dismissed, but discharged or whatever.
There's certain documents that we need, but once the court, the whole distribution of the estate, that's what the completion of the whole probate process is.
Right. Okay.
Ours would be just the property. So that doesn't mean we have to wait for the whole estate to be distributed. We can close our pending real estate transaction for the property in question, but when there's a probate, there's more than just the property that's being addressed.
Yeah.
So that's so to answer your question, no, we don't need to wait for the whole thing. We just need what's needed for the title side of it.
Right. All right. Well, that covers our list of what we see here on this particular lead sheet. So, Liz, thank you for joining us today. We'll keep bringing you on every time we have something that we need clarification on. If you guys need anything out there, you guys know you have access to a great team, great title teams. We have 2 great units here in Glendale at our office. Eddie Las Marias, great title officer, also Rachel Bersena. And then you have access to Liz. So you got to meet Liz here on our podcast today. You'll have access to all these resources, and including myself. We talked about these life-changing events, BenuTech. Liz, thank you for joining us today. I'll go ahead and let you go. I know you're super busy, so appreciate it. Okay, take care. All right, there you have it, guys. That was Liz Velasquez, Pacific Coast Title Operations Manager. So thank you, Liz, again for joining us today. So what you got here today was you have the lead sheet, which I sort of demoed for you on Title Toolbox. And the idea is just to give you that information to show you that you have this. Now, if you don't have it, you're going to give me a call, 626-3927-993. You can email me open@CoreyTitleRep.com. If you'd like to learn more about how to do this, how to pull this information, again, it's something that's I think is more valuable and useful to you as an agent to target some of these life-changing events. Use this lead sheet. Again, this is just something that's free on Title Toolbox. It gives you some great statistics, life-changing events that are occurring 2.5 mile radius around a specific property. Why wouldn't you want to use this every day that you're working? I don't know. You need to use this. And so I'll give you access to this. I'll set you up. I can do tutorial in person or over the phone, over Zoom. If you guys have you want to do a class, you're a broker or you're a manager, and I'll be happy to set everybody up and give everybody a tutorial. Usually it's at least an hour that I'll be dedicating to you to give you this training, but it doesn't stop there. I continuously will update you, and because there's going to be many facets to this, and you really can't do the whole thing thoroughly in 1 hour. But I try to give you a good sense of what's going on, and then you can jump on with us in the coming weeks when we have BenuTech here to talk about the Title Toolbox, and then also they have a what I call the mothership program, Rebo Gateway. Which is another great platform, just to give you guys some insight on what's going on out there. Of course, we're always talking about title and how title relates to, your real estate transaction. That's why I want to have Liz on to give you guys the insight that you need to close these deals. Because once you pick them up, you want to be informed, you want to be educated and know what's going on, what types of things to ask the clients for ahead of time when you're dealing with these types of life-changing events. Because eventually, whether you farm for this stuff or you target it, you're eventually going to probably come across this stuff, right? So knowing ahead of time what you need to bring in to escrow, to title, is key, and it's important to help your transaction go smoothly. And like I said, you have a great team here at PCT. You got access to me. I can help you with all of your farm data analysis, your marketing tools that we have here. Again, we have PCT Title Toolbox. We have PCT 247, branded version of Title Pro 247. We have Pacific Coast Agent 1. And then we have our awesome PCT Instant Profile mobile application, which is fantastic. So all of these things, you should all be, you should have all of these tools in your shed for sure. And I'm happy to train you on these, and to, even if you're new, if you're an agent that's new, to mentor you on this stuff. So I'm here for you guys 7 days a week. I truly mean that. Evenings, weekends, mornings, whatever it is, whenever you're working, you just feel free to reach out to me and text me, message me, even right here on, YouTube. You join me every Monday, 11 a.m. YouTube live. Don't forget to jump on next week and in the coming weeks. And then don't forget November 6th, Eric Sachs, president, founder of Breakthrough Broker, will be on the podcast, and you won't want to miss that. So stay tuned. You guys have a great week. If you guys need anything, please feel free to reach out and give me a call. Don't forget to check out the podcast later on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We're now on Amazon Music. So check that out. You guys have a great week.